In the small, secluded village of Omuwa, there was a rumor that lingered in the air like the scent of burning incense. It was said that on the night of the new moon, when the sky was its darkest, a ghost market would appear at the crossroads where no living man dared to venture. The sellers in this market were not of flesh and bone, but spirits, restless souls with unfinished business who sought to sell otherworldly goods that vanished by sunrise. The villagers spoke of the market in hushed voices, fearing that merely mentioning it too loudly would attract the attention of the dead. Tarima, a young and ambitious merchant, had heard these tales since childhood. His father had often warned him to avoid the crossroads during the new moon, but as the years passed, Tarima's curiosity grew. The promise of goods no mortal had ever seen, riches that could vanish into thin air, and the mystery of the ghostly merchants tugged at his soul. What if the market held something more, something that could change his fate? Tarima's decision to attend the ghost market came after a particularly poor harvest season. His trade had suffered, and his coffers were growing thin. Desperation, more than curiosity, led him to decide that he would make his way to the crossroads on the next new moon. He believed that if he could discover the secret to the ghost market, he might uncover riches beyond his wildest dreams. As the moonless night approached, Tarima prepared himself with offerings: coins of silver, dried herbs, and a small vial of sacred oil blessed by the village shaman. He didn't know what would be accepted as payment in the world of the dead, but he intended to be ready. With his heart pounding in his chest, Tarima set off for the crossroads, unaware that his journey would unearth far more than just treasures. The path to the crossroads was eerie in the moonless night. The trees seemed to bend and sway with a life of their own, and the wind whispered ancient names in Tarima's ears. He pressed forward, his lantern casting faint light against the oppressive darkness. When he reached the fabled crossroads, his breath caught in his throat. The rumors were true. Before him, a spectral bazaar shimmered into view. Stall after stall lined the dirt path, manned by ghostly figures. The merchants' faces were pale, their eyes vacant, yet filled with an unspeakable sorrow. Tarima took a deep breath, steeling himself, and crossed the threshold into the market of the dead. As Tarima wandered through the market, he marveled at the strange and wondrous items displayed on the stalls. There were potions that promised eternal youth, gems that glowed with an inner light, and books written in languages he could not comprehend. The ghostly merchants watched him silently, their cold eyes following his every move. One spirit, a tall woman with a veil of smoke for hair, beckoned him to her stall. "You seek something, don't you?" she whispered, her voice like the rustle of dry leaves. "Something deeper than riches, something that binds you." Tarima hesitated, feeling a chill crawl up his spine. "I seek knowledge," he replied, unsure why the words left his mouth. But the ghostly merchant only smiled, a sad, knowing smile that made his blood run cold. The merchant woman reached beneath her stall and produced an ancient scroll. It was tattered, yet imbued with a strange glow. "This is what you seek," she said, her eyes gleaming. "The history of your family and the curse that binds it." Tarima's heart skipped a beat. How did she know? He had always felt that something haunted his lineage, an invisible weight passed down through generations. But he had never spoken of it to anyone. "The price?" he asked cautiously, knowing that nothing in the ghost market came without a cost. The woman's smile faded, and her eyes darkened. "Your soul. Not today, nor tomorrow. But one day, it will belong to us." Tarima took the scroll with trembling hands. The ghostly merchant had not asked for payment. Not yet, but he knew that the price of his curiosity would come due in time. With a shudder, he left the woman's stall and moved deeper into the market, his eyes scanning the wares but his mind fixated on the scroll's ominous promise. When he was far enough from the stalls, he unrolled the scroll, revealing pages covered in strange symbols and drawings. As he stared at the script, the letters seemed to rearrange themselves before his eyes, forming words in his native tongue. The scroll told the tale of his ancestors, a powerful line of merchants who had made a pact with spirits centuries ago. The pact, however, had gone horribly wrong. Tarima's family had grown rich, but their souls had been bound to the ghost market. One by one, the men of his line had been claimed, vanishing without a trace when their time came. Now, Tarima was next. As Tarima stood there in the ghostly glow of the market, memories of his childhood resurfaced. He remembered his father's mysterious disappearance, how one night he had ventured out during a new moon and never returned. Tarima had always believed his father had met with an accident or been taken by bandits, but now he realized the truth. His father had been claimed by the market. The weight of the revelation nearly brought him to his knees. His family's wealth, their success, all of it had come at the cost of their souls. And now, the same fate awaited him. But Tarima was not ready to surrender. He still had time, and if there was one thing he had learned as a merchant, it was that every contract could be renegotiated. Determined to break the curse, Tarima sought out another merchant, an ancient man with hollow eyes who stood in the shadows at the edge of the market. Unlike the other vendors, this one did not call out to potential customers or display his wares. Instead, he watched with a quiet intensity, his gaze never leaving Tarima. "You seek freedom," the old man rasped when Tarima approached. "But freedom comes at a cost." Tarima nodded, knowing that he had little choice. "What must I do?" The merchant's eyes gleamed with a cold, unnatural light. "There is a way to sever the bond, but it requires a sacrifice greater than any you can imagine." The old man beckoned Tarima closer, his voice a low whisper. "To break the curse, you must give up what is dearest to you. Only then will the spirits release your soul." Tarima's heart sank. What was dearest to him? His family, his legacy, his future? The weight of the choice pressed heavily on him, but he knew there was no other way. "And what if I refuse?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. The merchant's hollow gaze bored into him. "Then you will join the ranks of the dead, selling your wares in this market for all eternity." With the old man's warning echoing in his ears, Tarima left the ghost market and returned to his village just as dawn broke. The world felt different in the light of day, but the weight of the curse clung to him like a shroud. He knew that time was running out. Soon, the spirits would come to collect their due. For the next few days, Tarima's mind raced with possibilities. What could he sacrifice? Could he outwit the spirits and find a loophole in the curse? Desperation gnawed at him as he watched the days slip by, each one bringing him closer to his fate. Tarima sought out his uncle, the last living member of his father's generation. The old man lived alone in a remote corner of the village, and few dared to visit him. Tarima had always thought his uncle was merely reclusive, but now he suspected there was more to the story. When Tarima arrived at his uncle's hut, the old man greeted him with a knowing look. "You've been to the ghost market," he said before Tarima could speak. Tarima nodded, his throat tight. "I need your help. The curse, it's real, isn't it?" His uncle sighed, the weight of decades visible in his tired eyes. "Yes, and there's only one way to escape it." Tarima's uncle led him to a hidden chamber beneath the hut, where a collection of ancient relics and scrolls lay scattered across a stone altar. "Our family made a pact long ago," the old man explained. "We were promised wealth and success, but in exchange, our souls were bound to the ghost market." Tarima stared at the relics, feeling a cold dread settle in his bones. "And the sacrifice? What must I give up to break the curse?" His uncle's expression darkened. "You must give up your future. Your lineage must end with you. Only then will the spirits be satisfied." The weight of his uncle's words sank deep into Tarima's soul. He would have to sacrifice his entire future, his family's legacy, the continuation of his bloodline, and the chance to pass on everything he had worked for. It was a choice no man should ever have to make. But the alternative was even more dire. Tarima returned to his home, his heart heavy with the decision that lay before him. Could he really give up everything for the chance at freedom? The faces of his ancestors haunted him, reminding him of the price they had paid for their wealth. That night, Tarima was visited by visions of his ancestors, ghostly figures who appeared at the foot of his bed, their hollow eyes filled with sorrow. They said nothing, but their presence was enough to send chills down Tarima's spine. The spirits seemed to be urging him to act, to make the sacrifice that would free them all from the curse. But Taurima wasn't ready to surrender just yet. He still believed there was another way, a way to outsmart the spirits and keep his future intact. In a last-ditch effort to find a solution, Taurima sought out the village shaman, a wise woman named Yvora, who was rumored to have dealings with the spirit world. Yvora welcomed him into her hut, her piercing eyes studying him closely as he explained his predicament. The ghost market is not to be trifled with, Yvora warned. The spirits are bound by ancient laws, but those laws can sometimes be bent if you are clever enough. Taurima leaned forward, hope stirring in his chest. What must I do? Yvora's expression grew serious. There is a ritual, but it is dangerous. If you fail, the spirits will take more than just your soul. Yvora led Taurima to a clearing in the forest, where the moonlight filtered through the trees, casting eerie shadows on the ground. She handed him a bundle of herbs and a small knife. You must summon the spirits of your ancestors, she instructed. But be warned, they will not be pleased with what you are about to attempt. Taurima swallowed hard, gripping the knife tightly. He knew the risks, but he had come too far to turn back now. As Yvora began to chant, the air grew thick with a cold, unnatural energy. One by one, the spirits of Taurima's ancestors appeared, their faces twisted in anger and sorrow. Taurima's ancestors surrounded him, their ghostly forms flickering like dying flames. Their hollow eyes bore into him, and he could feel the weight of their judgment pressing down on him. "Why have you summoned us?" one of the spirits demanded, his voice echoing through the night. Taurima took a deep breath, his heart pounding in his chest. "I seek to break the curse that binds our family," he said, his voice steady despite the fear gnawing at him. "I want to free us all from the ghost market." The spirits exchanged glances, their expressions unreadable. "And what will you sacrifice to achieve this?" one of them asked. The spirits did not respond immediately. Instead, they circled around Taurima, their ghostly forms whispering amongst themselves. Finally, the eldest of the spirits stepped forward. "There is a way to break the curse," he said, his voice like the creaking of old wood. "But you must prove your worth." Taurima's heart raced. "What must I do?" The spirit gestured to the knife in Taurima's hand. "You must pass a test of sacrifice and cunning. Only then will we consider breaking the curse." The forest grew darker as the spirits began their test. "You must enter the realm of the dead and retrieve an item from the ghost market," the eldest spirit instructed. "But be warned, the market will not let you leave easily." Taurima felt a chill run down his spine. He had only just escaped the market, and now he was being asked to return. But he had no choice. With a knife in hand, he followed the spirit's instructions, stepping through a portal that led to the ghostly bazaar once more. The ghost market was as eerie as ever, its stalls shimmering in the darkness. But this time, the merchants seemed more hostile. Their eyes followed Taurima's every move, and the air was thick with danger. He had to be quick. He had to find the item and escape before the spirits realized what he was doing. Taurima moved through the market with purpose, his heart pounding in his chest. He didn't know what he was looking for, but he trusted that he would know it when he saw it. As Taurima wandered through the market, his eyes fell on a small, unassuming trinket. It was a simple wooden carving of a bird, but something about it drew him in. He knew deep down that this was the item he needed to complete the spirit's test. Without hesitation, Taurima reached out and grabbed the carving. The moment his fingers closed around it, the market seemed to shift. The merchant's eyes turned black, and the air grew heavy with malevolent energy. The ghostly merchants began to close in on Taurima, their faces twisted with rage. He had broken one of the market's oldest rules. No one could take from the market without offering something in return. Taurima's heart raced as he clutched the wooden bird tightly. He had to escape, but the market's grip on him was strong. The merchants moved closer, their ghostly forms shifting like smoke, and he knew that if they caught him, his soul would be trapped here forever. Taurima ran through the market, his feet barely touching the ground as he dodged between the stalls. The merchants followed, their whispers growing louder and more menacing with each passing second. He could feel their cold breath on the back of his neck, but he didn't dare look back. The portal to the living world was just ahead, glowing faintly in the darkness. If he could just reach it, he might stand a chance of escaping the market's clutches. With the merchants closing in, Tareema made a final, desperate dash for the portal. His heart pounded in his chest as he leaped through the shimmering gateway, leaving the ghost market behind. The moment he crossed the threshold, the world around him shifted. The oppressive weight of the market lifted, and he found himself back in the forest, gasping for breath. Yvora was waiting for him, her eyes filled with quiet approval. "You've done it," she said softly. But Tareema knew that the real test was only just beginning. Back in the realm of the living, Tareema presented the wooden bird to the spirits of his ancestors. They studied it closely, their ghostly forms flickering in the pale moonlight. After what felt like an eternity, the eldest spirit nodded in approval. "You have passed the test," he said, his voice grave. But the relief that washed over Tareema was short-lived. The spirits were not finished with him yet. The spirits gathered around Tareema, their hollow eyes gleaming in the darkness. "You have proven yourself worthy," the eldest spirit said. "But the curse cannot be broken so easily. A final bargain must be struck." Tareema swallowed hard. "What do you want from me?" The spirit's gaze bore into him. "You must choose your family's future or your own freedom. One must be sacrificed." Tareema's mind raced. He had worked so hard to escape the curse, but now he was faced with an impossible choice. If he chose his own freedom, his family's lineage would continue, but the curse would remain. If he chose to save his family, his soul would be bound to the ghost market forever. The weight of the decision pressed down on him, and he realized that no matter what he chose, there would be no true victory. As Tareema stood there, torn between two impossible choices, a thought occurred to him. The ghost market thrived on greed and desperation. What if he could outwit the spirits by refusing to play their game? He turned to the eldest spirit, his voice steady. "I choose neither. I reject the bargain." The spirits stared at him in stunned silence. Tareema's refusal to choose sparked fury among the spirits. The air crackled with anger as the ghosts of his ancestors howled in rage. The eldest spirit's form began to flicker, growing darker and more monstrous. "You dare defy us?" he hissed, his voice shaking the ground beneath Tareema's feet. But Tareema stood firm, his heart steady. He had seen through the spirits' games. They thrived on fear, but he was no longer afraid. The spirit's fury reached a fever pitch, but Tareema remained resolute. He had uncovered the truth. The curse was not real. It was a lie, a manipulation designed to keep his family in thrall to the ghost market. And now that he had rejected their bargain, the curse began to unravel. One by one, the spirits of his ancestors faded, their howls of rage turning to whispers on the wind. As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, the spirits vanished entirely, leaving Tareema alone in the clearing. The weight that had pressed down on his family for generations was finally gone. Yvora appeared at his side, her eyes filled with quiet pride. "You have broken the curse," she said softly. "You were never truly bound to the ghost market. It was your fear that held you captive." Tareema exhaled, feeling a sense of peace he hadn't known in years. With the curse broken, Tareema returned to the village, where the news of his victory spread like wildfire. His family, once burdened by the weight of the ghost market, was now free to live their lives without fear of being claimed by the spirits. For the first time in generations, there was hope for the future. Though the curse had been lifted, Tareema knew that his journey was far from over. The ghost market still existed, and there were others who were bound by its dark contracts. But Tareema had learned valuable lessons in the market's depths: courage, cunning, and the power of choice. With his newfound wisdom, he resolved to help others break free from the market's grasp. On the night of the next new moon, Tareema stood at the crossroads where the ghost market had once appeared. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying with it the faintest echo of the spirits' voices. Though the market no longer held power over him, Tareema knew that it would continue to appear, drawing in those desperate enough to make a bargain with the dead. He would have to remain vigilant, for the market's influence stretched far beyond his village. As the night deepened and the shadows grew long, Tarima made a vow. He would use his knowledge to protect others from the ghost market's grasp, ensuring that no one else would fall victim to its treacherous bargains. And so, under the light of a moonless sky, Tarima became not just a merchant, but a guardian of those who walked the line between the living and the dead. The ghost market would always be there, waiting for those who were willing to risk everything. But as long as Tarima stood watch, its reach would be limited, for now, at least.